Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church in Columbia, South Carolina, where we're part of the ELCA. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. My grandson recently got a cat. Let me be clear, we are dog people, but he wanted a cat. He hasn't had any experience with a cat, but he wanted one. Over the past few weeks, he's learned that cats aren't like dogs. The cat comes not when you call, but when it wants to. The cat does not what you want it to do, but what it wants to. The cat wants attention not when you want to give it, but only when it wants it. I don't think that's what he expected, and I'm not sure how long the cat will be part of the family. Which brought to mind the nursery rhyme, Mary Had a Little Lamb. After all, a lamb is something of an unexpected pet, and in the rhyme it does things you might normally expect of a dog, not a lamb. It follows her to school one day, and even though the teacher puts it out of the building, the lamb waits patiently all day for Mary to come out. You can bet a cat wouldn't do that. I think it's a bit far-fetched to think a lamb would as well. In these weeks following Easter, we are continuing to consider Easter and what it means in our lives. This week in particular, we are drawing connections between the Passover and Easter, or Pascha as it can be called, and highlighting God's action to save us. As we get started, let me point out a connection with calling Easter Pascha, and it's all about the Lamb. You see, in many of our churches, we have a large, tall candle called the Paschal Candle. It's lit at Christmas and Easter, at funerals and baptisms, anytime there's a special emphasis on Jesus and his work to save us. Many of these candles, including ours here at Redeemer, have a lamb portrayed on them, pointing out Jesus as the victorious Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. After all, that is the work of salvation he does. Sometimes this candle is called the Christ candle, but I like the term Paschal because it's a way of saying Easter candle. And the connection to the Passover lamb is powerful. At the first Passover, we know about the unleavened bread they prepared, but another important part of the meal was the lamb. They were instructed to take a lamb and then smear some of the blood from the lamb on their doorposts and lintels to mark that they believed in God's promises and were faithful. It couldn't be just any lamb, however. The lamb was supposed to be spotless, whole, and without blemish. The lamb was killed, its blood put on the doorway, and then it was eaten during the Passover meal. Such a meal would sustain them for the first part of their journey out of Egypt. But take note of this. The lamb died so that the people could live. Centuries later, John the Baptist pointed to Jesus and said, "Behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world." Perhaps no one in the crowd knew what John was talking about, but I believe John did. And I believe that John, as he pointed to Jesus, was also pointing to that lamb from the Passover meal, the one who died that they might live. Jesus dies that we might live. The Passover lamb becomes our Paschal lamb. The Passover lamb of salvation is our Easter lamb of salvation. The connection between the two couldn't be stronger. One of the interesting things in the Gospels is that the Lamb of God becomes also our shepherd. In John 10, Jesus says, "I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep." So at the same time, Jesus is the Lamb, spotless, innocent, willing. but he also comes as our loving shepherd, strong, guiding, protective. At the cross, he is the Lamb, silent, suffering, bearing our sin. In the resurrection, he is the shepherd, risen, reigning, calling us by name. This is the Lamb of God, our shepherd, who takes away the sin of the world. You know, when I started this episode this morning, I began by talking about the song, Mary Had a Little Lamb, and I actually looked it up to make sure I had the words right. That's when I discovered verses I never knew existed. It turns out that way down in the song, far past the teacher turning the lamb out of the school, the children have a question for their teacher. Why does the lamb love Mary so? They ask. And the teacher answers, Mary loves the lamb, you know. Passover and Pascha are all about the lamb's love for us. May we love the lamb back. Thanks for sharing these moments with me, and remember to let this day belong to God.